welcome to the fourth and final review of the session. Up this time is a short, dark comedy psychological horror adventure game called Shut In. Shut In is quite the apt title because, well, your character is quite the shut in. And has the habits and hygiene to go along with it. In that, yeah, he's fairly disgusting. But something is going on this day. Um, that is to say, your home isn't quite looking like it used to be. Um, Everything has gotten a bit more grimy, a bit more grungy, and a hell of a lot more surreal. Um, and your task, I suppose, is to maybe escape from it, figure out what the hell is going on. I'll be honest, I did not complete the game because, well, I'll get to that in a bit. It's honestly a thing that doomed this. Um, but getting back to things, now when this game says it's short, it is actually a short adventure game, clocking in about 1 to 2 hours, um, depending on how fast you figure out the puzzles. And the puzzles here are fairly typical puzzle adventure game stuff. I will admit I didn't really encounter too much in the way of noodle logic, um, which does tend to plague a lot of adventure games. And this is also not one of those adventure games where the narrative is the entire point and the puzzles are just, you know, use object on thing. You found this object over here, now go use it over there. Which is, you know, which is not illegitimate, but this game does actually require some thinking to figure out its puzzles. Um, Now, I suppose I'll get to my big hang up right here now, and that is it revived one of my most hated, most reviled adventure game tropes, and that is getting stuck with the removal or when you don't have an item, because there's a spot early in the game where you're encouraged really to get rid of a seemingly useless item, see how deep a pit is. But it turns out you actually need that to complete the game. About midway through, there's a door that won't turn without said item. And that was just giving me all of the fucking Sierra adventure game flashbacks. I'll grant here it's not as egregious since the total lost time is a lot less. But yeah, I didn't go back because I just hate this trope so fucking much that I was done. So word of the warning there. Otherwise, it's a fairly decent adventure game. Word of warning if you're in, body horror, and this game is quite psychologically unsettling. Not so much in what it shows, but like, for example, if you are put off by your character being eaten by a whole swarm of insects. That's the kind of thing we're dealing with here. So you have been warned. And also worth noting, this game is a comedy. Clearly, it's of the pitch black variety, quite dour, which kind of gives away where it came from. Hint, the British Isles. They really excel at this particular type of dour humor. Although I think this game was made by an Irishman. The Brits don't have an exclusivity on that kind of comedy. And, we do see it over here, but we tend to be a more optimistic people on the whole than, the Irish or the Brits for various reasons. But that's a sociology paper in the waiting. No. Music. Jeez, I'm trying to remember if there was music. Like, I think at certain points, it's nothing too memorable. Um, and yeah, as far as what this game sets out to do, I like the bullet points here. Shut In is about tension and the discomfort in a familiar environment. Your greatest, I'd say that was accomplished to a point. Um, I suppose the problem is wasn't given enough time to actually explore the normal house before things started going south. It starts doing that immediately.
Especially given the implication that it was already at least a little bit gross.
Right. You know, and I'm not saying that we needed to spend a ton of time with things being normal, but definitely needed like an exploration of the house itself or something like that before, because none of these places were familiar to me, the player. Maybe familiar to the character, sure, but if you're trying to get that invocation into me, no, you actually failed because this is a unfamiliar environment to me. This is why Silent Hill, for example, waited to put you in the other world.
Mm-hmm.
You um, but yeah, your greatest tools are your worst enemies. Common sense will keep you alive, but it might not get you very far. Curiosity can have great rewards, but will probably just get you killed. I mean, really, dying is kind of one of the points of the game because it gets very comedic about how you died and such. And it always ends with its catchphrase, "Try again tomorrow." But let's see. As far as pricing goes, clocks in at $4.99. Decent price for what you get here, but once again, it is an adventure game that can be completed like in an hour, maybe two. So even $5 could be a bit much for that kind of pricing. As far as the game itself, I thought it was okay. I'll be honest, as far as short psychological horror adventure games go, I genuinely enjoyed Football Game a lot more. That was just a lot more interesting to me. Probably a subjective thing there, but this is decent. Outside of that one cavernous problem I mentioned beforehand. And yeah, any other questions, comments, or concerns on Shut In here?
No.
All right.
Not me.
Yeah. Well, so that'll about do it for not just this review, but putting the capstone on the review session at long last. Sorry about that, but fingers needed to be healed. Anyway, so coming up on the week ahead, let me see here. So on Wednesday, December 9th, we will be having Isabella Haro and Andrew of Tired Turtle Games. We will be speaking on their forthcoming project called Digital Janitors, which is an action-packed desktop defense game where hackers have taken over your employer's network hostage. Which means the player must go into each computer in the company, excise the virus, and beat the hacker threat. And coming up, we have our last Friday show of the season and of the year. Once again, those things are rapidly ending on their own, but it just sounds weird when you put it that way. Anyway, we'll be having George Kukiko of Tiny Build and Max Lario of Laughing Machines on the program. We'll be talking about the upcoming project Undungeon. Undungeon is a gorgeous action RPG driven by intense real-time combat and an immensely rich science fiction story. Travel between dimensions and change the world around you in an attempt to reconstruct the shattered multiverse. So the full Undungeon game is coming next year, Q2 2021. But here's the thing. They have released what is called a prologue on Steam, kind of an extended demo preview thing that's getting more and more common. I'll be honest, I get offered these prologue things a lot more in the recent past than, well, any other time I can think of. So we'll be showcasing this. It's free to play on Steam. So, Petty, make sure you remember to download this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and yeah, that is the plan for the days ahead. And until Wednesday, I shall wish you good gaming.